All right, class, let's get started. We have low poly versus high polygon and factors that makes it and their purpose. Let's just say with low polygon, we're working on a stylized animation where low poly look is it's welcome, or it's an exaggerated design, or pretty much we're modeling for game assets, right? Low polygon assets versus high polygon, where we want to use that for the cinematic portion of our game or our short film or feature film. Okay, so you want smooth, no faceted look, high polygon model for cinematics, and you want that same kind of look for uh, the low polygon without adding high polygon. So you want to make your low poly look like high poly. Basically, that's the point, right? And how do we get certain assets that started as low polygon or game assets into high polygon? Okay, so let's get started on this. We're going to be using tools here that was covered in week 1. Edit mode versus object mode, simple tools in modeling, and how to navigate the UI and how to move, rotate, and scale. So that's all been covered with week 1. So watch those first before you can follow along. Okay. All right, so I'm going to delete this, and I want to make sure that I do have my screencast. There it is. Okay, I'm going to delete that. All right, so let's start with a add mesh cylinder. Okay, this cylinder, if I click this open add cylinder right here, it starts with 32. So we want low poly to start. We can go with 16 on this. Cut down on the vertices. As you can see now, it's more faceted. Okay, it's low polygon. All right. So I'm going to switch to the front viewport. So I'm going to hit tilde and then front right here. As you can see, there's also a cut right here in the middle. So what we're modeling at first is symmetrical, and then you can do whatever you want after. You can make it dinged up a bit. You can make it not so symmetrical, so on and so forth. But when you start, always start with any object that kind of looks symmetrical, as symmetrical, and change it up after. Okay, so we want to rotate this so that this part is facing us. So that would be keyboard shortcut R for rotation, X for the X-axis, which is the red line, and then 90 degrees, enter. So it just kind of shifted like this. Okay, so next what we want to do is scale this along the Y-axis here. Okay, so that it's a lot thinner. So S for scale, Y is the axis. And we're just going to eyeball it. Okay, that looks good. All right, now we just want the half of the cylinder from the top. So we want to cut this right here so that we can delete all this stuff at the bottom and then start extruding from there. Okay, so I'm going to hit tab to go to edit mode. This is your knife tool right here. Keyboard shortcut for the knife tool is K. I'm going to hit K. All right, so that's the middle part right there, as you can see right here. So I'm going to press, I want to make sure it turns to green right there, so it snaps to that. Click and drag up to this point here, make sure it snaps, and then press enter to end the tool. Otherwise you won't be able to cut it here. The other side, the tool is still active. So press K, click snap, snap it, then click, and then press enter to end the tool. Okay, press enter to end the tool. Now we have it, we have a line in there. So what we can do now is switch from vertice, edge, face mode. So we can select all these faces to multiple select. There's several ways. We're going to do old school here so you can see all of it step by step. I'm going to add shift to my selection. As I click, it adds to the selection. Okay, there we go. And then finally this one. You want to make sure that you only selected the bottom. Okay, and you did select this upside down. So let's go to our, if you have a numpad, click numpad 1. It goes to the front orthographic, or tilde key, radial menu, front. Okay, so we know we got the bottom selected. Press X and delete faces, not dissolve. Okay, we want to delete the faces, and voila, that's what we have. All right, so now what can we do with this? So we can um, extrude the edges right here. So I'm going to go to edge selection right here. Okay. And I'm going to click one of them and then shift, add, click all those. So you can see all of them right there. And I'm going to go to my overlay here. Click this icon right here. Get rid of the grid, floor, XY. Just so that it cleans it up. There's no other uh, things here that are getting in the way. Okay. So there we have it. Let me go to the front, till the front. That I have those selection, right? In edge mode. I'm going to press E to extrude and then just drag it down with my mouse. Okay. And as you can see here, it's kind of freely moving. Okay. We don't want any of that. We want precision when we extruded this. Okay. So, by the way, I only press E once. So if you did multiple E to extrude, then you have multiple lines right here, which will mess up your model later on. All right. So when you extrude in Blender, let me click undo here just so that I can explain that to you one last time. When you press E in Blender to extrude, you already extruded it. Okay. The next thing that Blender is going to be asking you then is which transform you want to do. By default, it's the move tool. Okay. However, you can also rotate and scale as after you extrude. But if you press E like what I just did right there, and you go like it didn't extrude, it did. You just have to invoke the move tool for you to see the extrude. So don't hit multiple extrude. Remember that. Okay. All right. So now I extruded it. Okay. And then I can press Z. Okay. So that it will only move this up and down. Otherwise, you get free movement. Okay. So we're going to eyeball for the tombstone, maybe up to that one right there. So let's go to the front, till the front or numpad 1. Okay. So there it is. And now let's create the base for it. Okay. So I'm going to rotate it a little bit like so. Press E to extrude and then S to scale and move my mouse. All right, so now we haven't done any object transform on this one, and it's scaling it to the front just a little bit skinnier. So we want this kind of equal. All right, so we can do that by eyeballing. I'm going to shift, middle click, drag. So if you remember, this is the front. This is X. Z is up and down. Y is this way. So if I press S to scale and then Y, I can then expand that right there. So I'm just kind of eyeballing this. I want to make sure that I have a 45-degree angle on the corners. All right, so that's not so bad. Okay. And then we want to extrude this again. So press E to extrude and then Z axis. So it only goes up and down. So we're going to give it that right there. And then we're going to press E again to extrude, then S to scale. And here we will actually leave it like so. That is fine that it's wider right here. Maybe. Let's see. Maybe not. Probably will do the X. All right, so let's eyeball this again. Select both of those. I'm going to press S and then X. Let's get that kind of 45-degree angle. You don't have to be perfect on this one. We're just kind of doing that. And then press E. Okay, then Z. Oh, sorry. Undo. I forgot to, Control Shift Z to redo. I forgot to select all 4. Okay. Press E to extrude. Z. Okay. I think that's good enough right there. And then press S to scale this so that it's kind of angled. Okay. Now the bottom is open. Since this is for low polygon, if your tombstone, no one's going to see the bottom right there because you're going to dig this, lower on the ground, and you don't need a polygon here. Okay. But for the purpose of repurposing this for a high poly, we're going to cap this off. All right. But you don't need to if that's all you want to do with your low poly. Okay. So here I'm going to press F as in Frank. That caps it up. Okay. So then there's our low poly kind of tombstone. So actually we need more maintenance on this. So I'm going to press 2 to edge selection, select that edge, and that edge right there, and then we can press X, dissolve edges. Now it's truly a low poly kind of tombstone style. All right. So the thing that we can do with this now is to make all these things not look so faceted. All right. So we want to make sure that those things are smooth. And one way to do that is after, let's say, applying a color to this, is we can do a shade smooth on this and turn on some settings that will keep whatever's supposed to be sharp edges sharp. But before we do that, let's have a let's duplicate this. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my grid here and the floor, X, Y, Z. Okay, just so that you see all the gizmos. So we have a kind of like a sense of floor and a sense of up and down on this. Okay, so what we want to do with this is I'm going to do a G for grab or move, and then X, push it a little bit over there. Okay, Shift D to duplicate it. You can also go Object, Duplicate Object. There it is, Shift D. Once you do Shift D, you already have a copy. So just like Extrude, you don't see the duplicate because it's exactly on top. I'm not moving the mouse because I don't want to move this freely. I want to move it along the X. So as soon as I do Shift D, I'm going to press X and then just kind of slide it over. Okay, and then do the same thing again. Shift D X, okay? Or you can do Shift R to repeat the last command. Okay, so the last command is double command. It's Shift D and R, but if you do Shift R, it will just add the other object. Okay. All right. So now more caption. All right. So now I can let's see here, kind of center these. I'm going to select all of them. Okay, and then GX. It's kind of eyeball the center of this one. So this is going to be our low polygon. This is going to be our high polygon, and this would be kind of like an in-between. So if we're doing LOD or level of detail, we're going to add more to this so it's not too low polygon, somewhere in between, okay? So first thing is this one. It's our low polygon. Let's make this a low poly. So what I'll do is hit forward slash. Forward slash will isolate this object by itself. Okay. And when you click forward slash again, it shows everything. So it's a great way to concentrate on a single object and then hide everything else. Okay. So I'm going to hit slash, forward slash. Okay. And there we have it. So let's just do the final model shading on this one to make it not look so faceted, right? So I'm going to right click while in object mode, shade smooth. All right, so what happened is that it's trying to smooth it, but the normals are not correct. All right, so we want to add some auto smoothing on the normals on this, okay? So while this thing is still selected and we have shade smooth active, right? We can also do shade auto smooth. That will bypass the next thing I was going to do here on normals, but let's do shade smooth first, okay? So when we do shade smooth, this is what you get, and this is from version 3.6 going below, okay? But in order to do the same thing, because sometimes you get, we need to show you this because sometimes you get an object and then it has some shade smooth that you need to reset under geometry data. So clear normal clear custom split normal data right here. You will see this, and then once it has that issue, it needs to be cleared. All right, so I just want to show you how we are doing that manually. So you select it and you go to your data tab, you go to normals and you click auto smooth. By clicking auto smooth, it defaults to 30 degrees, okay? And you can increase this, you'll get a different look. You find that sweet spot where you need to be able to change your angle or your degree so that you can smooth other sides of your object, okay? And of course, the quick way to do this is just simply right click and shade auto smooth. You want to go back to the original, shade flat. Okay. So now we can go shade smooth or auto smooth. Okay. And turn on auto smooth 30 degrees. Okay. Either way, you can get to that. So now let's take a look. So you can see the faceted look is gone. So we know this is a low poly, but in the distance and whatnot, since you're not showing I'm going to go shade flat, it gets rid of this low poly look on this one at least. Then that's how we get our kind of low poly to work as kind of simulating high poly. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. All right, so forward slash. So this is our high poly model. Okay, so in order for this to be high poly, the topology needs to be correct. Okay, so um, quickest way to make this a high polygon is to, because here we can't. That's a lot of work just adding lines, cutting all the way here just to kind of give it a uh, high polygon look, and then that's too much work. All right, so let's take a look at it in edit mode. Okay, so in edit mode, there's this huge, gigantic side right here that's not going to work. Okay, because it will collapse. The thing with what we're about to add to this one is a modifier called subdivision surface. So it will add smoothness to this by cranking up the polygon count. All right, we're at that point. We don't really care about the polygon count if it's high, because it's for cinematics, right? So it's high poly. It will take a while to render, and that's basically factored into the calculation how much time it will take us to render. Okay, think of it as we don't care if it's high polygon, because we need it to look like high polygon. All right, so fastest way to do that is to add a subdivision surface model to this. Okay, let's go to modifier, click on the plus sign, go to generate, add subdivision surface. All right, there you go. So what happened to it is it didn't work, right? So it just kind of, even if we go to level viewport 2, so 2 by 2, and then we go right click and shade smooth. All right, so you can kind of tell here that versus the other one, that it's really high poly when you look at the count. Okay, we're not showing the high polygon right now because of it's showed as simplified. But if I, let's say, apply this, look how much polygon there is. Okay, and it still doesn't look too good because simply it has all the wrong topology for it, right? So what we want, I'm going to click X here for now. Okay, is and let's see here. Let's go to auto smooth, right? So you can see it. All right, it's to correct the topology. What you want, and sometimes with game assets, you still need this. You want everything as a quad. What is a quad? It's 4 faces. Okay. In animation, that's crucial because those will deform correctly. And if you have an n-gon or a non-quad, more than 4 or less than 4, you will have issues with pinching and stuff like this, where you want to smooth the object using a modifier such as subdivision surface. Because what's happening with subdivision surface is that it's trying to smooth out each face all equal. So this one would have the same treatment as this entire thing because this is just a single side. Okay, so let's take a look at what we can do here. So first, let's correct this. How do we make this into a all quad? So far, everything is quad except for these 2 faces here. All right, you see it? Everything is 4 sides. All right, so we'll go back to our edit mode and then press K for our knife tool. All right, then enter. K, snap, click, snap, and click. All right, so by doing that, we just made this bottom here valid. It's now what? A quad. Okay, what about here? How do we make all these things quad? So that's pretty easy. when it comes to just simply uh, dividing it, because this start is 32, we cut it down to 16. So if we get the center mark right here, so if I press K, okay, and then we would have well, we don't have the let's create a marker first. Okay, I'm gonna press enter to get rid of the knife tool. Okay, what I'll do is I want to cut right here. Control R, which is your edge loop tool, that one right there. Okay, loop cut. Okay, Control R. Okay, and by doing that, I just position it along the lines right here and gives me a perfect centered cut. Okay, and then next is you want this thing will ask you where do you want to position that. If I right click here, it'll leave it at the center. Okay, we don't really need that for the low poly, but for this high poly we do, because we want to make sure that the density is basically pretty much treated. You want to distribute it as equally as you can. Okay, so I'm now going to press K, knife tool, snap, then snap. If you made a mistake like this, press enter and just redo it. Okay, and then let's do another one right here. Press K, snap. All right, so now we have the center line, and we just need to do a K right here. Okay, and then, oh, actually undo. We can just do K, snap it as a V. Press enter. Okay. K. Press enter. All right. Oh, I missed that. K. Snap. Make sure you snap it. Just be patient. Okay, let me check the other one that I didn't miss anything. All right, so now everything's a quad. All right. So let's apply the subdivision surface again. Generate subdivision surface. Okay. Still looking wonky here. Okay. But it's much cleaner now. As you can see, we don't see those previous patterns that are pinching this one. So we clean this one. So now how do we give this one that look where it's keeping, let me undo auto smooth here. Okay. Because we don't need it because we're adding a real subdivision surface for it. Okay. And we need to add some edge loop to this. Okay. So if we go to tab, okay, we could see the outer shell, which is the low poly, and then we're seeing the high poly in here. Okay, so what we can do is do some cuts in the middle. Okay, and we'll keep adding them. As you can see, there's a dramatic change in how this look when we add those details. All right, so first we're going to add one in the center. Control R, click, and then right click. By simply doing that, it's keeping its shape already. Okay, and that's just one cut in the center. Let's add one close to the edge. Control R. This time don't right click, but move the line close to the edge, around right there. And as you can see here, front versus the back, okay, it kept its shape. We'll do the same thing here. And of course, if you want this really equal, you can just cut this and then you can mirror it. But that's besides the point. Okay. We'll do the one at the bottom. Close to the bottom. Here, Control R. Close to the base. Okay. And we'll do one here also. Close to the corner. Here, close to the bottom. And this one close to the edge of the base. Here, close to the edge of the bottom. All right, so you can see that's a lot of kind of polygon that got added, but That's why we call it high polygon. All right. Now let's take a look. That looks pretty good. Okay. And might not be enough here at the bottom. We could probably add one right here, the center. And what else? Maybe at the bottom right here, we're going to go press number 3 and select this faces at the bottom. There's got to be 2 more. Okay, if we go to the front right here, we could just probably press E right here and then just drag that a little bit, or no, we'll just click undo. We'll leave it like this so that we can add a cut to this one. We'll probably leave it like that because normally you'll stick this to the ground and you're not going to see much of that. But let's bring the 3 models over here. All right, so you can see the low poly and the high poly. All right, and we're using subdivision surface 2x2 right here, and you want it more dense, you can increase that. Okay, and it's going to be ridiculous. So if I click on apply right here, just so that I could show you real quick and look at the number of poly. Okay, let's undo that. You always want to keep this live until you're satisfied or really happy with your model. Okay, so that's low polygon versus high polygon. For this one, how do we get kind of like an in-between? What we can do with this is bevel. Okay, so there is a modifier we can use. Let's see if it will work as easy as the other one here. So, but before we do that, let's apply all transform, because I do just want to reset the values to 0, 0, and 1. Let me click undo. So show you that there's numbers here before. And we want to zero those out and leave the transformed to 1. So that when we apply this, it's applied equally. So let's add it. Let's add a bevel. Okay. So didn't quite work as much as we wanted because it's trying to do single segments right here. Let's see if we can. All right. Probably that one. All right. Yeah, I think that works. So it kind of gave it that maybe add a little bit. All right, because I don't want it kind of collapsing right here. And let's see also, we're going to give it a shade smooth. All right. Let's go back to the bevel. We can add segments. What segments we'll do is probably 3 right there. Go back to our auto smooth. Let's see if it's starting to introduce artifacts. It kind of has this kind of normal issue right here. So let's change our to 60. Let's see if it makes any change. No, it's not affecting that. So let's bring that back to 30 for now. Okay, so depending on the lighting, but it doesn't look too bad. All right, so let's bring this out right now and then deselect. So there's our low poly. This is kind of like an in-between where it has bevel. And this one is the high polygon one. All right, so this is how we're going to approach the modeling in class for our basic kind of just modeling. We start off learning how to do low polygon and then get them ready for high polygon if you need a version, because that's where you get employed. You know, they need to see correct topology on your model, that you're not wasting polygon and you're only adding what is basically needed. Okay, so we're going to go to shading and lighting also in our other lessons, so that we can add to this effect of making low polygon look like high poly, and then how to properly loop cut models so that they can retain their shape. Okay, when you add a smoothing modifier like the subdivision surface to give them a high polygon look. All right, see you in the next lesson.